So it's starting. Welcome everyone. It's week 17 in 2019. And this is Eternity's product coordinators update call. We had last week's call was combined with many written updates. And they are all in the Eternity forum. And I've also collected all the links to all the updates in the week 16 Product Coordinators weekly development update call forum post. It's about the dev suite and tools, wallets and browsers, the protocol update and the browser wallet update. We have started different applications that we are working on, the Elixir and the documentation hub. And I also want to start today's call with giving a rough overview about the last, actually just 4 days, because Friday just has started. We've again basically spent around 400 hours of work in improving the core protocol. More than 100 hours of work has been spent on the development tools and suite. We don't have Martin here, who's usually representing the development suite because of public holidays in their home country. I will give his update later. There has been a lot of work on the base app and also in the DevOps area. The SDKs have together more than 150 hours of work, and or even nearly 200 hours of work, and the documentation hub has also been updated. So I will make a round here with all the people who are available today, and I would like to Sergey, who is representing the core protocol development. Sergey, please give us some insights about the past week.
So, hi everyone. The past week, interestingly, wasn't very different from the week before. So, we are now very busy preparing ourselves for the hard fork, which is coming, which will take place like approximately in 1 month plus minus few weeks. So, we are busy finalizing generalized accounts, which are good on track, so it looks like we are very good on schedule there, and they're going to be done according to the schedule. Then we're also working on finalizing all the consensus breaking changes that we wanted to have in our state channels. I mean, right now our work was focused on in the state channel area on the usability of state channels, so and implementing the solo close functionality. So it took us a little bit more time than we expected, but yeah, I told it also in the previous call why it's uncharted territory. We have to do a lot of R&D there, and we're very happy and excited that our developers actually are able to do it mostly on their own and ahead of most of the community in this area. And yes, I think this is most of the interesting things that we've completed in the previous week, and the next week will also be dedicated basically to the same work. So finalizing consensus breaking changes, then also the next steps will be removing the API endpoints which were deprecated in the previous release. So yeah, looks like we are good on track and preparing everything for hard fork, which we hope should go as smooth as it happened with the previous one.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for this update, Sergey. I would like to continue with the base wallet and browser. There has been a lot of work been done in the past week. Stoyan, please tell us the milestone, your personal milestones on the last 5 days.
Yes, the main thing that we worked on was signing transactions inside a third-party app running through the base app, and that includes both in desktop and mobile. But the more important part is desktop, because that's something that was not finished previously. This includes signing with the keys or accounts from the base app, signing with a ledger and signing with air gap. We have working examples of signing with the base app and with the ledger, which can be used by any third-party app that wants to take advantage of them in the desktop environment. And the air gap version, and the air gap version, there's two use cases. One is when you're signing with a separate device, and one is when you're signing with the same device. For the separate device, that's almost complete. We're going to finish it very soon and deploy it as well. And for the signing with the same device, it's going to take us a little bit longer because we need to finish implementing the deep linking. And everything that I mentioned previously, signing with the base app and the ledger, is already deployed to the staging environment, so people can try it. And some other things that we worked on is like, there's one dependency that we need from the middleware to be deployed to deploy the transaction history across the board. And also I put some more work into moving the native apps from internal testing to external testing. And that's it.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And you also mentioned the different dependencies like the middleware or the SDKs. So whenever we work on applications or when we work on the base app, all is dependent and be in sync with the latest breaking changes and the latest versions of our software development kits, and of course also the potential breaking changes that happening in the node itself or the node API. Andrea, your team together with John, maybe we first go to you because you're overviewing all the SDK work. There has been new stuff going on in the SDKs, and this also was already implemented in some of the applications and the base app. So please tell us what has happened in the SDK team.
Yes. So we have released during this week two new version. One for the JavaScript SDK that improves support for the compiler, especially for the ACI type arguments, and also some fixed improvements for state channels to maintain the open connection to the node. And for the Python SDK, we have bug fix released for due to a change in the small change in the Swagger definition of the node API. It caused some problem with the Python SDK that now is fixed. On other side, we are for the Python SDK, we are working on the state channels as mentioned in the update. And I think it's solved for the SDKs.
Cool. Great. And maybe John, you can take over from here. Any updates on the side of the middleware?
Yeah, so the last week or so, we've been working on trying to give more information about the chain. So unpacking contract calls, doing reverse name lookups so you can see what names and address have. And now the focus for next week is going to be on increasing the testability of the middleware and the reliability where it's hosted. And we're going to try and move to a 2-week release cycle. So there are regular updates every 2 weeks with new features deployed.
Great. This is really great to hear. And I think many people from the community will be happy about that, as they are actively using it to develop applications. Also, maybe here I jump in and give the update for the dev suite. So the dev suite team, which doing the Playground and Forge AE, they have also been working since quite a while on a simple state channel application, which is on hold for a week now, as they are awaiting an update of the SDKs within the base app, which will follow soon. But they have also deployed new versions of our Goggles, the transaction inspector with the latest SDK, they have updated the contracts app to the latest SDK, which is 3.1.0. And they have also added a new version for Forge AE with updates, which is a 1.4.0, and a very small updates to the blockchain Explorer, where transactions were not listed properly, and little stuff like the market cap information, which we get through an external API. Also, in the Playground application, the SDK version updated, and a new console has been added to the application, which is a great step when you work in the browser. And all of the smart contracts libraries are now updated with the latest SDK changes, and also some feedback from the core protocol team. And some of them are still merged, and some of them are still in PR. So this is basically what has been happened there in this area. And I would like to maybe give the ball now to Milen, who is mainly hands-on right now with the browser wallet extension. Can you tell us a few words with Milen?
Hello, everyone. So after the first initial public beta release last week, there were a few bugs and issues with the wallet. There were few screens that were missing, and I was mostly working on fixing issues that some people reported over the forum and in private. There is this feature for exporting the private key according to the latest AX3 secret storage proposal, and also few minor UI improvements. Also, there are initial versions of the tipping smart contracts for tipping websites. And yesterday I started working on the Oracle that will be checking verification of domain names that will be used for verifying ownership over domain name, so that you can receive tips for your website. And yeah, basically that's it. I'm hoping that these features will be finished to at least another beta version next week, and I will be really happy if someone tries to poke around with it and find issues, bugs, and stuff that isn't working properly and report it, because yeah, every feedback is highly appreciated.
We will all do, Milen. Thank you very much for that update.
Thanks.
And the exciting work I have also played around already, and I would like to one more time say, everyone, download it and test it with small amounts, and let Milen know if you find mistakes. Okay, people who you're one of our most experienced application developers in the ecosystem. I'd say you're also taking care of the Elixir SDK team. You have worked on different applications, naming app and another one. Have you always run into problems when you try out the SDK or self-host the middleware? Can you please give us some insights about the Elixir SDK, and maybe also a few words to the juniors who are contributing to the protocol?
So about the Elixir SDK, in the last week, we merged our first version of the contracts high-level module. So developers using the Elixir SDK could now interact with contracts with very few lines of code, and it's quite elegant. Similar in functionality to what the JavaScript SDK does. We fixed some bugs in our minimal fee calculation. We validate that the fee that people put in is actually correct or sufficient for the transaction to go through the network. We continued to work on the spend transaction and accounts module, also high-level module, so that the feature can be used with very little lines of code for the final developers. And we started work on Oracle module. Yeah, and it's all working together with the latest. aeternity core node changes. From the other side, one of our junior guys did have a look in the VM and did find a small bug where the documentation does not correspond to the actual implementation when it comes to recursive function definitions. They fixed this in the compiler, and I think it's already live now. And I think from the others, there were a few contributions towards state channels, protocol. Yes. Also, I did run in a few issues where our tooling from the dev suite was not perfectly updated, so I helped the team to find some issues with the new SDK versions and to upgrade 4JE and to try out the new features and the new SDK changes together with 4JE and contract testing together with the implementing of a multi-sig contract, which is now heavily tested and makes use of all of these great new features. For example, using the ACI to automatically generate the type definitions. So the developer will no longer have to manually specify the types, for example, for decoding of return types of a contract call.
That's really great. That saves a lot of work and is a nice step forward. And thank you very much for your update, people. You also mentioned, of course, things are getting updated, and when they get updated, they need to get updated in the documentation hub too. I think we also have a growing glossary of things that people Google or DuckDuckGo and search for and want to get information about. And Pega, you have been working on the documentation hub, or is like the whole week, and please give us some updates about your work.
Yeah. Hello everyone. I worked on making a better structure after getting some feedback from Emi, which also led me to start working on a quick glossary after making some researches, because other projects have it as well, and I think it's quite necessary for people who just get started into our ecosystem. There are words that are for us, we understand them for granted, but of course newbies, they don't know everything, so it's quite important. I already shared a link, a proposal link, where I just collect all the buzzwords and I'm starting to work, translate them. And I will share the link also in the written update and ask also for the community for help. And besides that, I keep on preparing content for the upcoming Sophia tour in collaboration with the DevSuite team. And the naming app is deployed as well with the help of Pivo. Thanks again, Pivo. And I will share the link in the written update as well. And in the last written update, I also wrote what the bugs were, the naming app. So maybe people from the community can relate to that or ask questions how we solve them, because maybe they had the same issues already building apps. So yeah, that's basically it.
Great. Yeah, you mentioned a very important thing, which are bugs, and we are in software development, and bugs just happen, and things are not always up and running. So also, as I don't see Dincho in this call right now, I can maybe give a small insight to the whole system reliability engineering, which is on his shoulders. We had a request from the AirGap people, for example, when they had some issues connecting to our public middleware because it was overloaded or there was just something going on that we didn't spot it right away. And there are now more and more monitoring tools. We use things like DataHawk or and load balancing of API nodes and things like this are in the making, and there is a lot of work and coordination also in between the teams that build the middleware and the SDKs, and also, of course, the people who are using those publicly hosted infrastructure. And it's very, very valuable for everyone who sees this update call. When you use and when you run into problems, then please reach out, file a bug report. We don't have a perfect process yet for bug reports, but don't feel blocked by this. Please jump into the forum or even on GitHub, open an issue and reach out to us, because this helps us to make also those moving parts of the whole ecosystem more reliable and improve them over time. So only in the SRE part, there has been like 40 hours only spending on infrastructure, more than 20 hours spending on continuous integrations and packaging. And yeah, a lot of things are going on here. And I'm sure in the next call, Dinshu will give us some insights. We also have Emil here, who is strategically thinking about the whole ecosystem as an architect, but also in terms of specifications and how those things actually work together and what people need. Maybe you can give us a few words about your discussions and work in the past week.
Okay, so we have a new draft for specification for deep linking, which was originally part of X2 and now has its own expansion, so we can also extend it later on more easy. And also we have a discussion about like how the synchronization of different wallets could work. So imagine the case like you have a browser extension, but you also have a wallet on your mobile phone, and how can these talk to each other in a very user-friendly way so that we have the most convenient user experience. And for that, we have already some technology like that, for example, the AirGap wallet is using to synchronize vault and wallets. And we're right now looking into this, if this could be a specification that works for the whole ecosystem, and weighting also the different benefits of having a very compressed data structure to a more maybe easy to handle data structure. And this is what is discussed right now. And so we'll, I think, also in the upcoming week, publish some more information around this, and hope that more people join us also in these discussions.
Great, thank you very much. I think we have been through all the people here in this call. This has been a 30-minute call. I think this is also enough to watch and follow. We will not have written updates this week. We only do this every 2 weeks. But if you have questions or feedback, please post this underneath the YouTube video, or in forum.aeternity.com. There's the better place, because we're looking into this and we have some asynchronous way to work through the different questions and answer them. Also, we plan in the future to use this call for questions that come from the community and answer them at the end. So please also prepare for this. If we see questions popping into the forum during the next 7 days, we will speak about them shortly in the next call in the 18th week. And yeah, this is it from my side. I thank you all for participating in this call, and I wish you a great weekend and talk to you soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
And broadcasting stop.